Good evening and welcome to my podcast. I'm Bob Pace, your host, and I'm here to stop CPS from taking our children. So I'm really warmly welcoming you here because you may have a question or two about your CPS case. Let me go over how you can interact with this podcast. The first way is that when you type it in a comment, you want to talk about your CPS question, whether it's about your case, your friend's case, or you just have some question in general. I try to focus on child protection system. This is the branch of Social Security that supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse and do family reunification. So I ask you, please show your name, your city, state, or country, and be complete about your CPS case. The reason why I say be complete because you may have 3 or 4 different fathers with your children. You may have been started on and off. You may have been in foster care yourself. So you need to start from the beginning. I need to know, how everybody fits together in the puzzle because it's really hard because I don't know the case and you know the case and I want to help you as best as I can. Yes, I have been involved in CPS. My family has and my wife has, and it's been really sad because, we are still hurting from it. It's been almost 15 years later, and they destroyed one of our children. I lost my home because of it, and I don't know where else I could say, but I'm trying to rejuvenate and come back here and everything. So one of the ways is you can text in a comment what you want to do about your case. A second way is that you can call me. My phone number is 626-698-0990. And that's my office phone number. And I'm live during the podcast, meaning that during this showtime, either in the morning at 10 o'clock, Monday through Sunday, or on Sunday, I'm on at 8. That's the only time there's exception. And that's Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour. Or in the evening at 7 o'clock at night for 1 hour. And I will answer the phone during those show times. So all you need to do is call 626-698-0990. And that's the second way that you can interact with the podcast. And so what I'm telling you is that I want it to be interactive. I want you involved. The more questions you ask me, the better off we were. The more times you're on the show, the better off you're with. I love to have guests on the show. And speaking of guests, I have a producer that works really hard, the show producer. Her name is Grace. She works scenes, and she's the one that you would contact if you want to be a guest on my podcast. All you need to do is email her. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. So you email her, and you just tell her I want to be on Bob's morning show or his evening show on Wednesday, or his Sunday morning show, or his Tuesday evening show. It's either evening or morning, and Monday through Sunday. You got 14 shows to pick from, and I'd love to have you as my guest. So those are 3 ways you can interact with this podcast. You found me on Facebook. I'm broadcasting on YouTube, and I'm using a StreamYard application. So Grace can help you connect as a guest on the StreamYard application. And you can talk with me, and we can do the show together and maybe help out other people that may have issues or problems with CPS. CPS is not really a friendly organization. I don't know how else to explain it to you. I'm going to put my phone number back up because that's the primary way, and people can't remember the phone number, so there it is. Um, you know, they're supposed to protect their children from neglect and abuse and also do family reunification. Instead, they traffic our children, they steal our children, they uh, they um, alienate our children. That means they try to separate you from the parents. So, with that being said, you got a really tough uphill battle to fight them because they're not your friend. They won't cooperate with you, and they um, will keep your children in foster care forever. They also seem to think that every case is your child's in imminent danger. And so they want to take your child right away. And there's things you've got to know that you can do because you don't want to take them away. So, with that being said, um, I want you all to be careful and to listen to what I have to say. Now, I'm going to check on two of my standing room people that are on all the time, and sometimes they get notifications, sometimes they don't. So, first of all, you have to know about who CPS. And I'll describe a little bit about them. I'll give you some examples. And one of the best examples I can demonstrate or tell you is that in 2022, there was 8 social workers in Prescott, Arizona, working for the Department of Children's Services, DCS, which is a CPS. And they thought it'd be really cute if they would make pink T-shirts, and on the front of it, stencil the words "professional kidnappers," professional kidnappers, and then on the back, they stenciled, "Do you know where your children are?" And then they proceeded to parade through Walmart and the local stores in Prescott till they were caught and they were immediately fired. And the director was fired and the 8 social workers were fired. Look it up. That's the attitude of social workers. In fact, the other day, a social worker posted on her Facebook in Illinois, Chicago, Illinois. And what did she have on her Facebook? She had an 1848 ad, a newspaper ad that said "Black children for sale." Now, what kind of thinking is that tell you the social workers are? That's wrong. Black children are not for sale. And that was before the Civil War, and that's behind us. But what does the social worker do? She proudly places it on her Facebook, Chicago, Illinois. And it's all for people to see. That's wrong. That's wrong. You just do not. There's some things, and I'm surprised that the Facebook community standards wouldn't immediately take that down, or maybe it has. I don't know. But that's the attitude that social workers are. My social workers were very vendetted. I tried to fight them. I tried to go to the director of social services in the Orange County Social Service. I met with the director, and he worked out of his office that looked like the Taj Mahal of India or the Emerald City of Oz. And he had so much gold around his neck I thought about offering him crutches so he wouldn't fall over. But that's the kind of people you're dealing with that are very sickening because all they want to do is make money off you. It's an $80 billion business. In Orange County alone, they are paid $20,000 per child per month. In LA County, it's $15,500 per child per month. In the state of Washington, it's $8,000. It goes on and on. All the 50 states that they're paid. The money comes from the federal government, it comes from your taxes. Then it's sent to the state, and the state distributes among all the counties in the state. The counties is what, that oversees your children. Now, these county workers, these social workers, they don't have a board of directors or supervisory. They're not answerable. There's no one, they're not transparent, and no one's watching the store. The directors may be, but they're corrupt as much as the social workers are. And I'm telling you that you got to be careful of these guys because you're in, like Alice in Wonderland was when she fell in the rabbit hole in the garden, and she went to all these rooms where they say off with their head and this and that and so forth. So I'm telling you, you have to be heads up because it's a spider putting a web around you and they'll take you in. And that leads me to the number one of my rules. Now, I want to welcome Nadine Mungi. I know you've been in here before. I know you're sick by the system. If you can tell me, she says, this is Nadine from Minneapolis, Minnesota. My son came back home from DHS home 3 weeks ago. I have custody. Congratulations. I urgently removed him due to neglect from minor injuries, but bruises on the arm and injuries in the middle back. CPS investigation came back today, and of course, no neglect or abuse according to this report. If it was me, I'd immediately I would be immediately term my parental rights. So I'm glad that you're back there, and it's sad because the CPS workers are so corrupt. They're so corrupt. Now I'm going to contact two of my regular room people, my co-hosts. Danielle has been having some computer glitches, and she's in Georgia, and I haven't heard from her, but so I sent her off a message, and then Faye, who's my other one in here regularly, she has been coming quite sick. She tells me that she now has cancer, and her stomach, half of her stomach is what'd she say it? She has no feeling in it or something. It's doesn't digest the food, so she's in really excruciating pain. Faye is. So let me see if I can get her here. Okay. Okay. No, Danielle is not on, Nadine. I'm sorry to say her computer's down and she's trying to get a new one. But Faye will hopefully be on. Faye is one of the remarkable women that I've met in the CPS world where, when she was a young child and then she was a middle child and a teenager, she was 5 times put in foster care. And she was abused and molested in foster care. Then when she got later in life, she had a son. And foster care came after, not foster care, but CPS came after her and tried to take her son. Her son's a special needs son. And so they've been after her, and it's a shame. She's gone through so much. It's really sad because a woman shouldn't have to go through that. A woman should not have to go through that. And CPS is so corrupt. I cannot tell you how corrupt it is. They lie. They're not transparent. And this is coming from everybody I talked to on here. I've talked to over 500 people in all 50 states, and that's what I hear. And on top of that, I've had one social worker talk to us for 40 minutes. It was great. She was from Maryland. Her first name was Carol, and she said that she had a college degree with a clinical psychology degree, and that she went for additional training in Maryland for 6 months before she started working. But the people from Maryland that have called me they disagree because maybe she's in a part of Maryland where it works like that. But I'm telling you, you have to be careful, and you have to know, who you can talk to. And I'm pretty sure Nadine can tell you all about it. Nadine, I bet you can tell me all about your case and how awful CPS is. So, I'm glad to see the emojis and the thumbs up and the loves and everything and reviews. I would love to have a call in at 626-698-0990. And if you can't call in, that's fine. You can text me a message. And if anytime later on you want to be on the podcast, you can just by emailing my show producer, Grace, at vincentwdavis.com. That's Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Now, going to my first rule, that is something you need. You need an attorney. And I want to thank Mr. Davis, whose law firm is producing this podcast, Vincent W. Davis Associates. Mr. Davis has been a family dependency lawyer for over 35 years. He's a great attorney. He has fought CPS. He has gotten children back. Not only that, he's a trial attorney, and he has gone off to fight CPS civilly with civil lawsuits, both in the federal and the state, and has won judgments against CPS. So he's a fighter. He has his own podcast, and I encourage you to contact him at 888-888-6582, and he has a consultation for 30 minutes, and it's only $60. It's only $60. And you can talk to him, and he can help you navigate CPS and talk over some strategies, how to fight them, how to get your kids back. There's a lot of things that Mr. Davis can help you with. So all you have to do is talk to him. He works out of Southern California, but he goes to Northern California, and he'll go to any of the 50 states. So he'll discuss his fees with you and so forth. But it behooves you to contact him and talk to him. And it'll make you feel so much better. I got Mr. Davis to get my two boys back, but it took me over a year because, well, part of it was funding, like most people. I sold my home, and from the sale of my home, I was able to hire an attorney. It's sad because I lost my home in 40 years. So that's rule number one. And if you don't think it important to get a paid attorney and you want to use your court-appointed attorney, you're going to go nowhere. The court-appointed attorneys have a caseload of 30 more clients. They don't know dependency law like a professional does. They're new at law, and they're not going to fight because they're not paid very much, and they're friends with the social worker attorneys, the children attorneys, the judge, and so forth. So it's an uphill battle. It's a waste of time. But you really should get there. I try to compare CPS to open heart surgery. If you need some work done in your heart, you're going to get a professional doctor. You yourself are not cutting open your chest. You're not going to get your friend or neighbor to cut open it. You're not going to get a plumber or a mechanic to work on your heart. You're going to get a professional doctor, one that's gone to medical school, that has passed um, the medical tests, got a license, and did be a mentor for a while before they performed the surgery and talked to her. So here we go. We got our caller in right now. And I think our caller is from Richmond, Kentucky. Good evening, Faye. How are you? Faye, can you hear me? Oh, well, we'll try again here. We had her here for a second. I have no idea what happened there. Yeah, Faye, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great, I can hear you too. Welcome, Faye. How you feeling? Better?
I'm surviving.
Okay.
I don't know about better, but I'm still here.
Yeah, I was telling everybody about you, and one of the workers in the room, Natalie Monk, says that she is giving you blessings and praying for you.
So I said thank you.
Yeah, she can hear you. She can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Natalie,
Thank you, Nadine.
Yeah, Nadine is on. I mean, oh boy, Faye is on, Nadine. So she's live with me on the phone. So I just talked about how to interact with this podcast. I've talked about the first rule, getting an attorney. Is there something you'd like me to focus on, or another topic, or should I continue with my rules?
Oh, I mean, go ahead and get your rules out of the way. I was just calling, to talk about like what we were talking about earlier with the mental health stuff.
Yeah. Well, I've finished my rules. I only have two more. Rule 2 is the paperwork, and that is something that people don't like to do paperwork, and I didn't either. But you need to organize your paperwork because you need to fight them, and you're going to be fighting this case for years. So get yourself a good notebook, a 3-ring binder, 6 inches thick. Stuff it full of college rule notebook paper. Get some subject tabs, divide them up, and you're going to have your first subject is called incidents. Those are all the incidents that happen during your case that involve CPS. It may be police, maybe CPS, it may be something else. But you write down the date, the time, the location, and the people involved on the first line. The next line, you write describing the incident, what the incident was. If it takes 2 lines, that's fine. Then what you have to do is do the outcome. How did it end? And if it's not end, you have to come back later and fill out the ending. Then after all that, you skip a couple lines, put the next incident, and then skip a couple lines, next incident. This way you have a running record of what's been happening with your case. And if you have to meet with the attorney and talk about it, then that will help you because you need to keep track of the incidents. They happen all the time. They come to your home, you go to their office, the police came by, whoever it is, the police, or anything related to CPS. You go to the doctor, be checked out, and so forth. Because Faye did talk about how the social workers try to make you that they think you're crazy. They think all parents are crazy, and they want to get you in that mode so they can kidnap your children and terminate your rights. That's one of the ploys that CPS is good at. And a lot of them are not clinical psychiatrists. A lot of them are just lay people. So you got to be really careful there. A clinical psychiatrist can diagnose and talk about mental health. But a social worker isn't trained. They don't get that unless they get a clinical psychological degree in college, which that one social worker I said that was from Maryland did have. But you need this paperwork, and some other tabs could be a legend or a list of all the classes you've been taking, parenting classes, your program classes like anger management and drug rehab. You could be taking also a lot of drug tests and so forth. So you make a list of all these things, and then behind that, you 3-hole punch all those documents so you have proof. You have proof. And again, it's always in a notebook so it doesn't get lost or distorted. So that's the second subject tab. So that'd be a list. So you have instance, lists, and then you want to have another tab called info. And that's all the websites, links, phone numbers, my name, whatever it is. You write down all the info about your CPS case so you can refer to it. It is on post-it notes or in envelopes and so forth. So that is another good one. And then don't forget your court papers. You'll get them in the mail. You get them at the court proceedings. You need to hole punch them and put them in date order too. That way you have it all set up so you can pull to the tab to do different things. It's very important that you have the notebook with you at all times and you keep it updated. The third rule is the one that's sometimes hard because you all are nice out there and you want to allow them in your home. Well, the answer to that question is do never open the door. And I cannot emphasize that for a lot of reasons. One of the strongest reasons I saw in May 3rd, Roger, a black man who was serving in the Air Force as an airman, was gunned down point blank by 5 shots by a Gainesville, Florida sheriff. And they're still investigating it. But he had no one in the apartment. He was talking to his girlfriend on FaceTime. So she saw him die on FaceTime. It was sad because they had the video from FaceTime and they had the sheriff's vest. And it looked like to me that it was excessive and not need to. The black man was armed. He had a gun pointing straight down. But the sheriff could have done a better job at diffusing the situation. There was domestic violence called in. He came out, saw the apartment manager, and she mistakenly took him, I think, to the wrong apartment. He never did try to listen through the walls or walk around the apartment to see if there was a scuffle going on. Instead, what he did, he stands front of the door, which is stupid because if the guy had a gun, he could have shot through the door and the sheriff would have been dead. So he should have not stood in front of the door. Also, he knocked 3 times before he identified himself, and that raised a lot of suspicion to the airman. The airman had a license to bear arms, so he was okay there. But unfortunately, the sheriff didn't quite do a job of how to notify. He could have said, "Hi, I'm Sheriff such and such with the Gainesville, Florida Department. I'm here to investigate a suspected domestic abuse. Is there anyone in there besides yourself?" And that way he could talk and diffuse a person. And then he could say, "Okay, I'd like you to unlock the door, then lay face down, your hands behind your head, and if you have a weapon, toss it aside." Then he could have came in, saw the situation, handcuffed him, and then check out the rest of the apartment for anybody else. But instead, when the gentleman opened the door, instead of the sheriff opened the door, he fired 5 shots straight in the chest a foot away. It was sad. And I don't know if sheriffs learn how to shoot or not, because you could shoot someone in the foot, the hand, the shoulder, some other non-vital part of your body, and he'd be alive. But instead, the sheriff thought his life was in danger by this guy. I don't know, because we don't know the color of the sheriff. We don't know whether it was racial motivated or what. All we know is the innocent guy, and the story that I'm trying to relate to you all is don't open the door. You don't know who's at that door. And you certainly don't want to talk to social workers or policemen, because the things you say will be used against you. Also, they're going to be looking for things in your home. So what I would do is be quiet, ignore the door, and then, if they hopefully leave a card or something, and then you can call them back. If you're outside and you're stressed out about it, just say, "Look, I can't talk any further. I need to contact my attorney." It's your civil rights to do that. You're supposed to be represented by an attorney. So you have the right to insist that. Also, when people come knocking at your door, they can't come unless they have a warrant. Too many people give permission, and you shouldn't, because it's sad what does happen when doors are open and people are allowed into the home. And having a policeman is for intimidation. They're just as bad as a social worker. So with that being said, they're going to try to take your child when they get in the house. They'll see the situation and say, "Oh my goodness, that child's in danger. That child's in danger. So, with that being said, also, not only your home, but if you go to the hospital with your children late at night because they're sick, you need to make sure you hang on to them because they're going to try to take your child away at the hospital. And if you're going to give birth and you're tested positive, don't let them take your child. You're supposed to give birth. They were so bad. One case I heard where the mother was just expressing the child out of the uterus, and the social worker grabbed the baby with the sheriff and they marched out. A newborn. That had a chance to be washed off. That's how bad social services is. I cannot relate hundreds of stories of how bad they are. Yes, there are hundreds of stories how bad people have been against children, throwing them against wall, forgetting them for 12 days and leave them alone in the house for 12 days. Ohio woman did that and came back and found the child dead. Well, if you don't feed the child, you don't clean the child's diapers, you don't give them water, they're going to die. They're going to die. He had E. coli. That's how, he had maggots in his diaper. It's gross. And the woman's asking, well, I don't know why my daughter's dead. The daughter was only 10 months old. Think about the pain the first 24 hours that daughter suffered. Think about it. So, yes, there is a need to have social workers that are trained and educated and that are controlled and watched over. It isn't all about money. It should not be about money. And right now, Faye would tell you in Richmond, Kentucky, over $900,000 is unaccounted for. There's money missing in Kentucky, Richmond, Kentucky. The CPS workers somehow have taken the money, which is bad because a lot of them do that. In the newspaper, there's 3 or 4 social workers right now under investigation of embezzling funds and doing bad with parents and social. So it's all out there. So you got to be heads up. And that's why rule number 1 is you need to get an attorney there. Now, earlier this morning, and let me catch up with Nadine here, or not Nadine, this is the other one, Natalia. There's 2 of you right now. There's Nadine, I think she's called Nadine, and then there is Natalia. Now, Natalia is from West Hollywood, California. She's a great person, and she said they say and accuse us being crazy. Yes, we want to talk about being crazy. DCS, which is the Department of Child Services, kept going for several years on accusations. Crazy. And she further says medical kidnapping and have a doctor records with you. Yes, you need that too. I agree with you. And then she said further, the more than that must be millions. Yes, they do 80 billion a year. They take the money. Now, Nadine from Minnesota in 2004 filed a federal civil rights complaint against the Minnesota child welfare system. The complaint alleges that the system discriminates against Black children and families, especially in Hennepin and Ramsey counties. That's in Minnesota. They complain also request an immediate investigation into the system's use of federal funds. I'm glad that they are. The complaint claims that the Minnesota Department of Human Services is very, very corrupt. She also says the NACPC filed it. Good. The national, it's called the National, I forgot what it's called, the National Colored People. It's the National Association, and I forgot what it's called, but I'm glad they filed a lawsuit. But that's wrong. That is wrong. And this mental health thing has really grown up to really be a favorite thing that CPS likes to do. they like to prove that you're crazy, and then they can terminate your children right away. They like to prove that. And if you're caught in that situation, make sure you get your own doctor or pediatrician and work something out about that, because you need to have something to come back CPS. They're going to try and make it mean and nasty to you. And your court-appointed attorney is not going to help you. So you need a real attorney to handle this. You need a real attorney. Yeah, I know it's a national organization. I just forgot what all the letters. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. There you go. Thank you. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. And they're supposed to protect the rights of people there. But you're in a really bad situation because they'll accuse you of being mentally, and they're going to try to use their doctors, or they're going to say, I'm a clinical psychiatrist and I can do it. Well, you need your own doctor. You need to go see them and have backup that says you're not mentally ill or cannot mentally take care of your children. Also, mothers and fathers that may have special needs that are ADA, or they may have disabilities, can still be good parents. Just because you have a disability doesn't mean you're a bad parent. And so that's wrong for them to think that way. That's really, really wrong. So you have to be careful. You have to think one step ahead. And the best thing to do is stay away from them. The only time you have to do something is when you have a court order, a warrant that specifically signed by a judge with an embossed seal on the bottom that spells out the details of what they are accusing you of, what the children are, and what they can do. Can they come into the home to take the child? Can they talk to you? Those kinds of things. So that's what you have to have in there. Otherwise, keep the door closed, be quiet, and they will go away. I'm glad to see T-Gen. Welcome back. I remember you earlier today. It's nice to see you again. And welcome, a warm welcome. Nadine from the Minnesota says multiple Black children have been held in hospitals for taking their kids into the ER or otherwise, and we're being our children to the emergency room because that protected to get or get a cycle, but they considered us neglectful and abandonment. No, you're not neglectful, you're not abandonment. People with disabilities can raise children and take care of them perfectly well. There's nothing wrong with people with disabilities. There's nothing wrong with children with special needs. Like, what do you have to do, Faye, with your child with special needs? What do you have to do?
Well, there's a lot. I mean, my son, he's an adult now, but even though he's legally 22, fixing to be 23 tomorrow, his mental maturity is that of about a 15 or 16-year-old. So, I'm still kind of dealing with the teenager still. And, there's challenges with everything, with bathing, with, with changing his clothes daily, brushing his teeth. It's all just a big old chore. Taking care of his pets that he has, doing anything around the house is an argument with him, trying to get him to do anything. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But it's, it's just a lot. It's just a lot every day. It's stressful, because he always meets me with challenges, but he has oppositional defiant disorder, ADHD, is, some learning disabilities and things like that too. So it's just, it's a lot to deal with, but.
Well, you're a remarkable woman to do that, because not only you're taking care of your needs and your issues, you're also taking care of another child. And that is so great of you, because in social services and the CPS, they don't care. They won't help kids with special needs. They'll try to ship them off to other states and dispose of them. They're really bad. They're really bad about special need children.
Well, with my son, he's gonna more than likely always have to live with me.
Right.
Because he's not able to live on his own. So, he's not really able to drive, or anything, or to even hold a job.
Yeah.
So pretty much he'll always be with me.
Okay. Well, you're a wonderful mother for doing that. I mean, I'm sorry, a lot of parents, rather give up their children for adoption if they can't take care of them. So.
It's definitely a challenge. It's a learning experience. It's a lot of patience, and it can be very hard most days. But, it can also be, a lot of joy and a lot of fun too. But my son, he has a really funny sense of humor. He likes to make people laugh. He's a little goofy. He's very, very smart. He's artistic. He's very tech savvy. There's a lot of things he likes to do. He loves animals. He loves marine life. I mean, he's a real good kid. He just, has all these obstacles that he struggles with.
Yep. Now, T. Jan from Minnesota had a question for you. She said, "Hey, Bob, if I have a disability, what type of help the division of DCF supposed to help you with?" So this is a parent that has a disability. Is there anything that CPS is supposed to provide or help with?
Well, what type of disability do they have? That
would
help me to know what DCF would be required to help with.
T. Jan, what kind of disability is this that you're talking about? So we can help you out. Now, Nadine Munge says that her son is like a 2 to 3 year old. He's aggressive partially because he has chemroid diagnostic. That's the MAMA cannot figure out. And you are sick, so it's hard to provide for him. And they need to refer her to a disability counselor center. Okay, I don't know if T. Jan, you need to go to a disability counseling center. Well, in school, I have an IEP. Now, an IEP is, I forgot what it abbreviates to. It's
individualized education plan.
Yeah, she had an individual education plan in school. And so I'm trying to find out, T, what disability you have. Is it, are you having issues with your mind to comprehend something? Or do you have a disability to pick up something? Or a disability to understand? Or you are have an age problem, like you're 30 years old, but right now you think you're only 18 years old. So I'm trying to help you. Nadine said, "I wouldn't take any services offered by them because I don't trust them." Yeah, Nadine brings a good point, Faye. You really can't trust CPS. And they're going to use it against you. They're going to use it against you. They're going to make you look bad. So I really would not, Jan, I really would not go to CPS for any help with your disability.
I mean, is she asking to go to DCF for help with her disability, or is she asking that if she has a case with DCF, what are they supposed to offer her?
T-Jan,
for her disability.
T-Jan has children in the CPS. She wants help for herself. She has a learning disability. T-Jan, learning disability. And I don't think you want to go to CPS to be help with your learning disability, because they'll turn around and use that against you. And they'll terminate your rights.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. I got to answer. I got to answer a call, Bob.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
Okay. Anyway, Faye's going to answer a call. Meanwhile, T, I really don't think you want to go to CPS for any help, to be honest with you. The best way to approach CPS, from my experience of talking to others, is yes, no answers, and don't tell them too much. And if it gets really confrontational, tell them that you need to speak to your attorney. They don't know if you have an attorney or not, but you need to diffuse it. So I need to speak to my attorney before we go much further. And so, you could always call Vincent Davis and get a consultation, and he can help you on that. Nadia says you need to go to a learning disability therapist. Okay. Well, a lot of that therapist is not of CPS. It's got to be something covered in your health plan, your health insurance, that kind of therapist. You want to be a good therapist about that. Okay, meanwhile, Faye's on another call right at the moment, and when she comes back, she can continue to talk on the show. Let me see if there's any more comments that are coming in. Okay. So what T is saying, well, what I'm saying is if someone had a disability, doesn't DCF supposed to modify your case plan, action plan? They won't. They won't. I mean, it makes sense, but there's no sense with them. There's no sense. Hello, EC. Can you tell me what city or state or country you're from? EC, welcome. Nadia says children substitute Los Angeles has a learning therapist. Well, you got to be careful. Again, if the learning therapists are provided by CPS, you don't want to be involved. You don't want to be involved. So, and EC said Happy Father's Day. Well, it's nice that you say Happy Father's Day. I think that was last Sunday. But thank you and you're on the West Coast of California. And so, welcome, EC. Now, Nadia says, no, not DCS, is a private organization. I'm confused. What is a private organization? What is the Children Institute is a private? Yes, okay. I didn't know what organization you're talking about. Because the government agency is the CPS system, and in California, it's called CPS, Children Protection Services. But when I say CPS, I mean the Children Protective System. That's when I talk about CPS, because it's different acronyms in every state. Now, EC says, I do not have legal rights. What do you mean? Your parent rights are taken from your child, EC? I'm trying to understand what you meant by that there. So, there's one thing I haven't talked about tonight. It's called ICWA. It's the Indian Child Welfare Act. And that took place in 1978, 100 years after 1875, when the American Indians were put on reservations and had their hair cut off and lost their identity, could not speak their native language. They were trying to erase the Native American. Those are the first immigrants, by the way, that came over the land bridge. They were here before any of you, before the Vikings, before the Europeans, and before the Chinese and the Irish and so forth. We're a land of immigrants. We have people coming in, and everybody's welcome, but they need to go through a process to become a U.S. citizen. If you're going to immigrate here, you got to go through a process, and you need to check in and go through it. And so it's not hard. It's not hard. EC says, can I still go to the graduation without a ticket? Yes, you can go to the graduation without a ticket. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard, EC, because sometimes they check the tickets and sometimes they don't. And I know my son was graduating this first Saturday of June, and they asked to see my ticket, my wife's ticket, and my older son's ticket. So I don't know the particular thing in there, but you should be able to go to the graduation. I couldn't go to my daughter's graduation in high school, which was sad because the mother wouldn't give me a ticket. And so I didn't want to cause a scene, so I didn't go. That's a hard thing to do when you lose your daughter. How do you sue CPS? Well, step one, you need to get an attorney that can fight CPS. And we have a good attorney here that has done lawsuits against CPS. His name is Vincent W. Davis, and he will talk to you. All you need to do is call in. His number is 888-888-6582, and you can call in and make sure you tell him that Bob Pace sent you. And when you speak to Mr. Davis, you can say the same. But he can help you navigating how to sue CPS. It can be done. He's won cases suing them. So it's very, very important there. You call in 888-888-6582. Also, you can go to that ticket that's scrolling across the bottom, and you can go to a website that starts with Candly, CALENDLY, .com/law office of VWD /Bob Pace. That'll take to his page where you can schedule appointment. That pencil said watch on Zoom. Oh boy. I know that. That's sad. Yep, you tell your son to get a graduation. You can ask your son, he'll sit there. I said, I want a graduation ticket so my mom can see me. I assume you're talking about a high school graduation, EC. I assume you're talking about a graduation, high school graduation. Faye is still away on her phone call, and I'm here to answer questions. And I was talking about ICWA. Now, what ICWA is, the Indian Child Welfare Act, places children with the tribe, and the tribe in turn will put them with the Indian family. CPS it's federally mandated that they ask you, do you have any Native Indian blood? And if you do, you say yes, then they're supposed to help you find out if you're registered or could be registered and help you do so. They'll contact the trial and so forth. The person calling in, I'm on the phone call, so I can't take the second call at the moment here. Hold on, let me get that call. Hello? Hi, who's this?
This is Nadine from Minneapolis.
Yeah, hi, Nadine. I'd like to talk to you. I have Faye on the other line on hold, but I can talk to you.
Oh, no, that's okay.
No. I can talk to you. Go ahead and ask away.
No, I don't need services or anything, but I did want to, just talk. You were talking about ICWA. Now, I had an ICWA attorney, but she was a court-appointed attorney. But they never found any Indian heritage. I have family like from Detroit, but they were like the Indian heritage is more like in Canada, and we were never able to find that. But
Yeah,
that ICWA attorney actually decided that she would go ahead and support me anyway.
Well, on ICWA, there are 547 federal tribes in the United States that are recognized. So if you're one of those 547 tribes, and it's got to be in the United States, not Canada. So like Lakota Sioux, the Crow, the Chippewa, the the Cherokee, the Cheyenne, the Apache, the Navajo, all the tribes, they are recognized. Then what you do is you badger the CPS to contact the tribes. Now my tribe is in Rosebud, South Dakota. It's a Rosebud Lakota Sioux, and so that's how you'd look it up, Rosebud Lakota Sioux. But it's supposed.
We've got a huge population of Indian people here in Minnesota, so we've got one of the largest ICWA groups around, and
good.
I mean, if you can, I talked to the ICWA ombudsman for Minnesota, and she had a real thorough discussion with me that if you could get ICWA status, you can really actually get them to support you, and you can win your case. I mean, you can get your case.
Oh yeah, well CPS must turn them over to the tribe, and the tribe places with one of the Indian families, and the Indian family will take care of your children, and the tribe will help you get your children back. They will do family reunification.
Yeah, but some tribes go by blood quantum and some don't. So I mean, it's just some will take and some won't. If you have like a certain percentage, like I think it's over 76.
I don't know what the percentage is. My my linkage is my great grandmother is a full-blooded Lakota Sioux, and her son is my grandfather, and his father was from Bergen, Norway, and he's a Viking. So my grandfather was part Lakota Sioux and part Viking, and with that blood in their bloodstream there. So I'm not 50-50, but I think I'm a quarter, maybe. I'm a quarter. My dad has it in there, so I don't know. But the problem I had, my problem was,
it won't matter if they go by it.
my problem was is that what I'm trying to think here. I don't know her Indian name. I tried Lakota University. I tried the Rosebud, and Rosebud tried to locate her, but I couldn't. I had her white man name, but I didn't have her Indian name because Indians don't write. They don't have written records, and that's one of the downsides.
Yeah. Well, the blood quantum is just a really controversial topic, but a lot of tribes do not include the blood quantum as part of their enrollment criteria. So, if you have like 25%, it's not going to cut it. They're not going to do it. But I couldn't find mine either. So I was in the same boat as you, and they switched it over. But that ombudsman told me if you don't have, it's really not good if you can't find that.
Right. Right.
But.
Well, I've come close to my end of my podcast, and I'm going to have to sign off. I want to thank everybody for listening. God bless you all. Keep fighting for your case. I want to thank EC, and I want to thank Faye. I want to thank Nadine and Natalie, and I want to thank you all for talking tonight. God bless you all, and I will see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. This is Bob Pace signing off. Don't stop fighting.